we have bounced off of this important resistance. I don't know what that is. I think that's the 200 DMA. 200, no, this one is the 450 if I'm looking very close. This is the 450 DMA. And you can see this is a pretty bullish sign, right? So short term, we have this bullish momentum back. Where are we going to bounce to? Well, you can see the last two times we did this where we breached below and bounced above, we had pretty good returns, right? And this time around, it's going to be no different. Here's another look at that. Okay. And in both cases, these guys are predicting that we're going to 100,000 plus. We just have to break through. We just have to break through our previous high of $73,000. And I do think it's going to happen next week. I even said that last night. And I said it yesterday morning. I think something's being planned right now. I think leading up to Bitcoin conference, Bitcoin is going to pump to a new high. Could be just barely above 73, 74, 75. I think that's in the works. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think something's brewing right now. That's for sure. And long term, this is what it looks like. All right, this is the last thing I'll say about Bitcoin. But if you look at every single cycle, every time Bitcoin broke through this important like B wave or B level, which is the second top, basically, Bitcoin has a hard time staying above. And then afterwards, after some time, it just keeps on going, right? So it's kind of the same thing here. But 2021 was different because our B wave was higher than the A wave, or the A top, or the first top was lower than the second top, which normally doesn't happen. All the previous cycles, the first top is always higher than the second top. And that's because we had SBF and FTX. They were heavily manipulating the market. And a lot of people think that the only reason we fell to 28,000 before rising it back up again was due to FTX. So that's the reason why, right? But you know what? Doesn't matter. That's the past. This is now the present. And our current cycle looks a lot similar to the 2016 cycle than the 2020 cycle. And we are moving exactly the same way. And look at what happened in 2016 and 2017 and that glorious top at the end. I think we're going to see something very, very similar this cycle. Yesterday, in total, massive, 423 million. And this is significant because if you look at the last 8 days, right? And you look at, when we had those outflow days, you notice those reds. So we already made up for those. And plus, during that time when the funds were selling, you know who didn't sell? BlackRock. So even during the red negative 200, 220, 190, 146, 152, even during those bad times when some on Wall Street were selling Bitcoin, who didn't sell? BlackRock. Larry Fink knows what's up. And he continues to accumulate. Not only does Wall Street accumulate, he is accumulating. He gave the biggest endorsement a couple of days ago, and you could see why he truly believes it. And it just keeps on going and going and going and going and going. So short term, this is positive. This is really positive. This is the reason why we're coming up so much once again. But long term, guys, I say it's unfortunate because short term, yeah, this is going to pump Bitcoin for sure. Long term, oops, where's the chart I was going to show? I forgot the chart. Long term is not going to be good because BlackRock already holds more than 1% of all Bitcoin in existence. They actually hold, I'll just pull it up since I was looking for it. They hold 318,000 Bitcoin. And I don't even know if that's accurate based on yesterday's numbers. Okay, they hold 1.5% of the total supply, the total there ever will be. We're not even up to 21 million Bitcoin yet. So they continue to load up. And it's going to be bad because later on, when the world is ready to fully embrace Bitcoin, that's when it'll be too expensive. And that's when BlackRock may be holding 5%, 10% of the supply. And that's not good. So that's why I've been showing you guys this, why ETF inflows are so important. Because not only do they show that there's massive amount of interest from Wall Street, but also like to give you guys reminders that you don't want to let the big boys take it all. You don't want to let Larry Fink and Fidelity and everyone else, ARK, to take all of your Bitcoin. You got to load up and DCA when you have the opportunity, because these guys now know they came in late. They're playing catch up, right? They know that they're late to the game, but they have enormous amount of money and they could catch up really, really fast. So you got to grab what you can while you still can, while things are still decently cheap. And I know that sounds, kind of crazy. We're at 65,000 and I'm saying it's cheap. Well, it is compared to 100,000 or 150,000 or 250,000. And that's where we may end up in the near future. And I'm talking about like within a year. When I say near future, I'm not talking about 5 years or 10 years down the road. I'm talking about within a year, basically. If you want to comment on anything I've said in this video, make sure you head over to the Roundtable. The Roundtable is a new social media platform created for conversations. And best of all, it's spam-free, bot-free, unlike here on YouTube. And you could have conversations with me and others like Altcoin Daily, Scott Melker, Mauro Nafal, and many others are joining daily. And you also get rewarded in tokens for doing so. So check out the new Roundtable. Click the link in the description below. This is kind of ridiculous to think about, but 7 years ago today, someone bought Bitcoin under 2,000 for the final time in history. That was only 7 years ago. Seems like it flew by. You know who bought Bitcoin for less than 2,000? This guy right here. When I got into Bitcoin in 2013, Bitcoin did hit about 1,000. It started coming down in 2014. I didn't understand what it was about, so I sold. But I got back in 2017, early 2017, when Bitcoin was about $1,000. And I remember buying 3 Bitcoin at a time. So I got in below 2,000, right? And unfortunately, we're never going to see those levels again. It's just like when people bought under 10,000 and people bought under 20,000. Will we ever see those levels again? No, right? So again, it's kind of like real estate. When something has a limited supply, when there's just this rush of demand and there's not enough the supply to go around, right? The price goes up, and unfortunately, it never goes back down to previous levels. It just keeps on going up forever. You're never going to buy prime real estate anywhere in Manhattan, for example, or downtown Tokyo, wherever, right? For pennies on a dollar, not like before. Not like when we first started out, right? Maybe 100, 200 years ago. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. But the lifespan of Bitcoin is so much smaller than everything else. But it's the same. It's the same. You guys get my point, right? So in the future, it'll be the same thing. I'll be able to say, hey, you know what? A lot of you guys watching bought Bitcoin under 100,000, and we'll never see that level again, right? It seems silly, but in 10 years, in 20 years, when Bitcoin is at like $5 million, it's not going to be under 60,000 again, right? That's just the reality.